Warm blessings, Master Shaman Palai Chi here. Today I wanted to talk about how spirit energy influences your relationship. So, how does spirit and energy influence your relationship? In a relationship, there's a ton of things that goes on. It's you, your energy, and then your significant other, spouse, or partner's energy, and then the energy that flows around you, which is maybe relatives, friends, family, from your side, from her side, and then also from every other connection that you have as well. But in the love relationship, it is very important for you to understand that in order to have a connecting or a communicative relationship, there must be an understanding of a higher source or a higher spirit energy source that has caused influences in both of you, whether it's in you yourself or your partner or your significant other, that has influenced you somewhat to make the decisions that you had made. So, for example, if you find that your partner is cheating on you, then there's something that has caused that cheating to occur, whether it's a decision that he made or he was influenced by that decision from a friend or family member or relative, that he had then decided to actually cheat on you uh, by those influences. Now, it may not be any influences at all, but his own thoughts. And his own thoughts could be also influenced by his own thoughts. So, what does that mean? That means that maybe he saw something on TV, he saw something on YouTube perhaps, and then he or she, right, or she could have had this thought that they were pretty bored with their lives. And so they just wanted some excitement. And what does excitement mean to them then? Excitement means doing something crazy that they maybe would have never even thought of doing, or maybe did think of doing, but had not taken action on. And they think that this may be something fun. All right. So when they think that this is something fun, there is a spirit or energy negatively influencing them to do this in their lives, thinking that this is going to be something that is of an adventure or something like that, right? But also for most people will know the consequences that come along with that adventure. So if you're one that you have done that before, you know what I'm talking about. It's this feeling that you get that you're just bored, you just want to try something new. Or it could also be a negative thought that you're going to do this to maybe hurt the other person intentionally. But typically, the case is not really saying that they're trying to hurt the other person. It's really the reason is plain and simple that they were bored. Okay. Um, that's usually what I find through, I would say 95% of the time of the readings that I do for people that has relationship or communicative issues is always that they don't have enough to do, or they don't have a hobby or a goal or a purpose in their lives. And so that's why they're having this spontaneous or this feeling that I need to go and do something exciting, and perhaps this is dangerous and exciting, and so that's what's drawing them to that infidelity. All right. Um, the other reasons why people are the way they are in relationships, right? Because of the spirit energy influences. Now, I always find, and I come to find, and I'll talk about the men's side more because I'm a woman. And so I tend to have to deal with other feminine energies that are not very positive. So, other feminine energies that are not very positive, what does that mean? That typically means that there is of other feminine energy or spirit guidance that is of negative, right? That's causing or want to cause havoc for the negative effect in a relationship. Did you get that? So it is actually a feminine energy that is negative. That is negative, that has come along into a relationship probably knowing and seeing and citing that the relationship was fairly okay. So then it comes along fairly okay, but then I'll come back on that thought, because fairly okay, the relationship was okay, but the relationship may have had some ups and downs, like one of the person, right, one of the partners or spouses may have had thoughts of infidelity to trigger this. So therefore, one person in the relationship may have had a thought of, I would say it's a sort of an evil thought, right? Or a negative thought, that they wanted the other person out of their lives, or that they wanted to do something really hurtful for the other person. So, but then they didn't act on it, but then they made that came across their minds. Or perhaps they just were having temptations of other women or other men, all right? Just to have a spark in their life, just to have this spontaneous um, thing in their life that makes them feel like it's dangerous, it's fun, it's adventurous, right? So then they had this thought that came across their mind. That's one. Second step is then it draws in this negative entity energy, which is the female or the male energy. All right. Typically, I find that it's female. So then this female energy flows into the relationship and tries to cause a breakup, tries to cause a breakup. So if your partner and their first intuitive feeling or sense of you isn't that strong, or yours isn't that strong at heart, then it's going to cause the breakup very easily, very easily. If it's very strong, then you will be fighting with this female entity until the ends of time, right? Until you are able to find the key to relieve it out, or to release it from whoever the partner is that she or this feminine negative energy is trying to influence. Now, the feminine negative energy may be trying to influence the spouse, meaning the husband or the wife, or the boyfriend or the girlfriend, the significant other, whatever it may be. So this negative female entity may be trying to influence a bad situation to occur. So, or bad situations to occur in sequence. All right. So, what I find with spirit and energy medicine, which is the positive aspect of spirit and energy influences, is that they'll come in if you allow them to, and they will remove or try to restore the balance within the relationship. I'm talking on a very high level, shamanic level of healing. Okay. So, what happens here is these positive spirit energy influences, or I call it medicine, comes into the relationship, and it will come in and try to release or remove this negative entity that's trying to cause some havoc. Now, in this time that it's trying to cause the havoc, you and your partner are going through a ton of emotions. You may have arguments, you may have a dispute over simply who's going to wash the dishes, who's going to clean, who's going to cook. It's very simple things in life that you have no clue that you had fought because of um, that simple situation that came up. It could also be very simple, as in who's going to do the laundry, or did you leave the car keys in the car, or why didn't you lock the door, or who's going to shovel the snow, or why didn't you shovel snow with me, living in a snow state. It could also be in a very small, it's just a very tiny, at the tiniest thing that you can think of, there could be a huge dispute that comes out of that situation, or out of that conversation. So, what I'm saying is, spirit energy negatively, the negative aspects of spirit energy, these are the negative energies that flows into to cause issues, right, in a family or in a relationship. And then there's the positive spirit energy that will come and fight it off. So how do we understand, or how do we know that it's spirit energy? Well, when you think about it, and you think about back to how a situation started, or how this conversations how this good conversation started, and then it ends up really bad, right? Because thoughts are in there. Thoughts are within the conversation. Thoughts are in the situation. So then it influences and it draws good or bad into the situation, into the relationship. And then the conversation either goes bad or goes good. Okay. So today I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. For some of you that are aware, great. For those of you that are not aware, from a shamanic standpoint, or my shamanic standpoint, I'm saying, why do you give your relationship a chance? Because there's more to what meets the eye. There's more to it that you can see. So if a person tells you to, you know, F off, as in profanity, right? Using profanity a ton, and telling you that, or cussing a lot, then there's a negativity and a real bad anger within that person. They need to also manage that. Yes, that's their responsibility. But then on the other standpoint of spirit and energy, then there is also negative influences that are being drawn in or allowed in from that person's thought process, allowed into the situation, into the relationship now. And then if they do that for a ton of times, meaning certain sequences in their relationship, for example, this week you had an argument, and then it was really bad. You had a good conversation. Let's say you have a good conversation within the next few days, it goes good, and then you have a bad conversation, and then again the sequence flows, right? So then the more times you don't notice and you let it happen that way, then it's going to be a habit of the person. But then it's also going to be a in stillness of the negative entity. In stillness meaning you're allowing that entity to stay, right? So then every time you have a good conversation, negativity and or miscommunication will happen. All right? So just a bit on the shamanic aspect of relationship and why spirit energy plays a part in your relationship, because of your thoughts, right? Because of good or bad thoughts, positive or negative thought process. So what I'm saying is also then, if you can be conscious to that, conscious to the good thoughts, and allow those thoughts to come in more, then you will think more clearly, then you will say more clearly. Therefore, your communication to the other person will be received per what they also will think too. So it will be at least given clearly. The other person then will have to then practice the same thing what you're doing too, or you both need to come in hand to accept that and to be conscious of the good and the bad spirit energy, right? And so then that will come in, and then that will also be able to, you'll both be able to compromise easier, because then you understand and you're on the same page. And that's what we mean when we're on the same page, is that you both are conscious to good and bad, or negative and positive. And if somebody says something on the spur of the moment, then that's a spur of the moment, but don't take it to heart. Don't hold a grudge and basically let your relationship be torn apart. When you hold a grudge, you have to think back to what was said and what was done. Now, if it was overboard, then yes, that person will need to, and well, even if it wasn't overboard, that person will still need to basically apologize and say they're sorry. You will as well. But even if it goes to that point, you need to come back to see how the person is reacting to the whole situation and how you're reacting. If the person is more calm and they are they feel like, they're doing chores around the house, they start to do as usual, then you'll know that the person feels sorry, but they just can't say it. So then you'll have to go to that person and you also embrace them. Embrace them because you know, and you're the one, the bigger one, right? To see that there's a problem either with the person or there's an influence from spirit energy medicine, right? The negative part of spirit energy that has caused this person to then have the habit that they do. And the only way to break the habit is the person has to come back and be conscious of their habit and release it out. So that's one way to handle it um, from a shamanic or spiritual energy standpoint. The other way is to get help, to get whatever you want to get, right? But from my standpoint, I'm saying shamanic healing helps with the spirit energy aspect. I understand spirit. I understand energy. I know which one is bad and which one is good. There's a deciphering that has to go on so that you can be released of the bad and into the good. All right? I hope that this video makes sense to you and has taught some things or has even brought some consciousness into your mind. That's all that I'm looking for and exists because I'm wanting to bring this consciousness to all of you in your mind through the thought process to think more positively about your relationships. Even if it's going down in the dumps, you can still hold it back up. I don't want to say there is still hope, but I know that there is hope. I don't want to put you on a string to have hope, but I want you to have faith. And in order to have faith, you must be willing to understand the conscious or the spiritual energy aspect of your relationship. And look beyond. Look beyond the situation. Look beyond the words that are said, the really bad words that are said. Look into that person's heart and know that the person has a good heart, but maybe it was a spur of the moment, a negative energy or spirit that came through and caused both of you to have this argument or to speak really harshly to one another. But when you get back, when you sleep the night away and you wake up in the morning, think back to yourself, am I okay to be away from this person? Do I feel better when I'm away from this person? Or do I feel like I have a missing link if I'm not with this person? All right? I just wanted to stop by today. Master Shaman Palai Chi here to give you this message from Spirit Energy Medicine, the good ones, obviously, and to hold your relationship on ground. Warm blessings, and we'll speak to you next time. Bye-bye.